Hello Orchid friends, welcome back to my channel. Wherever you are, I hope you're having a great day, staying healthy and staying safe. Today we're going to look at another Dendrobium, one of my few Dendrobium orchids in my collection. This one is parishii. Parishii is a very fragrant orchid, and I don't have a whole lot of Dendrobium orchids in my collection, but this is one of the maybe 4 or 5 Dendrobium orchids I have. I have 3 other Dendrobiums that may potentially grow to be a larger regular sized Dendrobium. This is one of them, but I also have another one that's more of a miniature Dendrobium, and it's called Dendrobium phalaenopsis. Those are not deciduous, meaning they don't lose their leaves over winter time, but this one, for example, is deciduous. So winter time it does lose its leaf so that you will see bare canes, and if you control the water amount, essentially you want to reduce the water amount that this orchid receives during winter time as it shed its leaf, and then the coming spring, typically with right conditions being met, for example bright light throughout winter but reduced water amount, the following spring typically you would get some buds. This is a very young plant. When I got it, it was a very small seedling, and after 2 years of just doing minor growing, eventually this time around it's giving me 2 blooms. The reason I purchased this orchid as a young plant, well, there are 2 main reasons. One is I prefer mid to smaller size orchid because I grow all my orchids inside, even though they're in a dedicated area, a sunroom, but I still don't want a whole lot of plants taking up too much space. So I thought a smaller young plant would be ideal in terms of space saving, and because it's cheaper. A young plant, I think I might have paid $15 or $20 for this seedling, and then after 2 years it finally is putting out a bigger cane and 2 buds to bloom for us. The fragrance is really sweet, and I would almost say that it has the honeydew fragrance to it, and in the morning all the way until late afternoon I can smell this orchid's fragrance, but the orchid flower itself didn't last for too long. I think altogether it's about a month or so, and then the flower will fade away. I know eventually I may have to decide if I want to grow this orchid on like a piece of wood, mounted, or grow it outside, because this type of orchid is super popular in Asia, in Taiwan, and typically they grow them outside of their windows and just let it dangle. And when you have enough big canes, and when they bloom, it looks like a waterfall of orchid flowers. It's super pretty. And in Asia, they also grow this type of Dendrobium on tree trunks, by just tying them up on the tree trunks and just let the nature do its thing and let the orchid be. I do see people fertilize them by tying like a bag of fertilizer on the very top or just above the orchid where it's attached to the tree, so that the nutrients can trickle down when it rains, and the orchid can take the nutrients, and that has also worked really well. Now, for me, I don't know if I would ever grow this orchid outside, because part of me always worried about potentially bringing in outside pests or bugs. Because in Texas it does get cold, does get freezing sometimes, around freezing or just below freezing temperature. So I do need to take this orchid inside when that happens, and that's when I'd get nervous about potentially introducing outside pests into to the indoor environment where most of my Phalaenopsis orchids are. This is a young plant, like I said, so it's in a plastic cup, and then inside of the cup it has another really small, 1.5 inch plastic container. And then the medium I use for this orchid is small pebbles, manto clay pebbles. And it has worked so well so far. I don't have to worry about root rot, and I know Dendrobium does need a little bit of more fertilizer compared to Phalaenopsis orchid. So what I do is I would soak this orchid. I would fill up the fertilizer solution up until like the like about 80%, so that it's almost submerged. Let it soak for 15-20 minutes, and then 3 days later I would soak it again, and that would be the watering regimen for this particular orchid. So still quarter strength fertilizer, but it does receive an additional round of water and fertilizer 3 to 4 days later, and then I repeat. And it has worked really well so far. And of course, knowing Dendrobium need extra nutrients, I did also throw in a couple small slow release fertilizer. If you look closely, you might be able to see some of those almost on top of the medium there. And then for that little hook, really is just a mechanism for me to be able to take this orchid out easily, because like I said, I soak this orchid, so when it's done soaking, I want to drain out the water. I simply just hold on to the hook, pull it out, let it drip, and put it back in, dump out the water. Or sometimes I want to hang this orchid up on the growing rack. I can do that easily, so it's also another trick that I did, and it has worked out so well for convenience for me. Something to share with you in case it would help you for certain orchid types. Overall, I did enjoy the blooms and the smell. I just don't know what I'm gonna do with this orchid, or how maybe it's possible I can actually get it bigger, make it thrive inside. But I know with Dendrobium it's not as easy as if I grew this orchid outdoors. So we'll see. If I do anything, I will make sure I make an update and share that with you. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!